Dear brothers and sisters, Atma Vidya, self yoga of self realization. That is the topic of today. It is the most important lesson one should learn in one's life. We have got 108 Upanishads in the four, included in the four Vedas. Most of them deal with only one subject. This is Atma Vidya. And again, Brahma Vidya. There are two opinions about it. Some Vedantins consider Atma as Brahman. But Saiva Siddhanta accepts the Vedas but clarifies it further. It says Atman is not Brahman, that is Shiva. Jiva is separate, Shiva is separate. Their entire dimensions are totally different. We'll enter into that discussion later. First, according to Dasakarya Yoga, and we are seeing it, Dasakarya Yoga as practiced by Vallalar. Okay. And this Dasakarya Yoga has got three parts. Rupam, Anma Rupam, form of Anma, and then Anma Darshanam, experience of Anma, and then Anma Sutti, detachment from Anma and going beyond into the realm of God, Shiva. So there are three parts. First, what is Anma Rupam? What is the form? There are about 8 characteristics of Anma given by the philosophy of Saiva Siddhanta and Vallalar. Before that, we should know a little about the philosophy of Saiva Siddhanta. It's a vast ocean-like subject. It may take years to explain all of them, but let us consider only those portions concerning us about Dasakarya Yoga. Basically, you must know this truth. The basic text of Sivajnana Bodham contains only 12 sutras. You could contain it on a single page. It consists only of 12 sutras. 12 sutras. This was discovered by the divine saint May Kandar in the 13th century. And following that text, 13 more texts of Saiva Siddhanta have been added to it. So totally it makes 14 Meganda Shastras. And hundreds of exegeses, commentaries and interpretations have been written and added to it. Okay. Now, concerning Anma, the third sutra of Sivajnana Bodham gives us 7 characteristics, and let us see. Uladu iladu என்றலின், that is one. Uladu iladu என்றலின், எனது உடல் என்றலின், number 2. ஐம்புலன் அறிதலின், number 3. ஒடுக்கம் அறிதலின், number 4. கண்படில் உண்டி வினை இன்மையில், this is 5th. உணர்த்த உணர்தலின், 6th. மாயா இயந்திர தனுவினுள் ஆன்மா, 7th. This needs a lot of explanation. It may take many hours, but let me be very brief. Uladu iladu என்றலின். Sometimes people say there is no Anma like Buddha, and our Vedic rishis and Saiva Siddhanta saints say it is there, and we also say I am there. Sometimes the Nastikas, the atheists deny there is no Anma. But anyhow, what is the inference, what is the implication? Even by denying the existence of Atma, there is a concept, at least a concept is that. So, uladu iladu enralin, that means either you accept it or you deny it, the concept of Anma is there. That is first reason. Second reason is Yenadu udal enralin. See, this is my body, this is my house, this is my car. We say, so when you say this is my body, just like car, it belongs to me. What does that word me denote? It denotes your Atman. That is the second reason. Third reason is, characteristic is, Aimulam Aridalin. See, we got 5 senses. Mei, vai, kan, muk. Skin, tongue, nose, eyes, ears. These are only instruments of knowledge. Whatever data are supplied to the brain, these senses don't know. They are only instruments like a telescope or a microscope. Only your Atman feels it. So there must be an experiences to experience all these sense data. So that is the third reason. Fourth, Odukam Aridalin. Odukam means during sleep, you don't understand anything, you don't experience anything. For that matter, this is called Jnana by the Siddhas. Tungamal Tungi Chogam Beruvadu Ekal. The Siddhas are aware even during their sleep. Who feels that awareness? That is Anma. Even during dream, in lucid dreams, according to scientists, you are able to see what is happening in your dream. So that dreamer who is aware of the dream, that dreamer is the Anma. So during dream and sleep, the awareness still goes on. That awareness belongs to Anma. Kanpadil undi vinay inmayin. During sleep, you don't take food and you don't work. But even at that time, your awareness continues, because when you wake up, you say, oh, I had a blissful sleep. So even without food and work functioning, your Atman, your awareness continues. So that is the fifth characteristic of Anma, evidence. Unartha unardalin. When a guru teaches you, or when a teacher tells you something about something, there is somebody inside who understands it. When the senses brings in the data, that Atman understands it. So there is always somebody who comprehends all these things. So Unartha unardali. That's the sixth characteristic. Finally, he says, Maya Yandira Tanuvinul Anma. Where is it? It is inside the body. And what is the difference between the body, mind, complex and Atma? Maya Yandira Tanu. Tanu means body. And it is mechanical. Yandira means machine. It's a machine. Who created it? Not God, but the power of God, Maya. This body is a machine. It was created by Maya, Sakti. See, here the body is compared to, not compared, literally it is called a machine. See, in the 17th century, the so-called father of science and modern philosophy, René Descartes, the French philosopher, brought in this mechanistic concept of the cosmos and the body. So, and it started reigning supreme after Newton discovered his law of gravitation. But this idea of mechanical body and mechanical universe was already composed by Swami Meygandar in the 13th century, some 4 centuries before Descartes. Please make this, note this point. Secondly, what is the difference between Anma and body? This is mechanistic. Body is a machine, but Anma is not a machine. It is consciousness and it is embedded in the body. Here, Meygandar does not give us the exact location of the Anma in the body. But Vadalar Swami and Tirumular Swami tells us the exact location of Anma. It is inside your forehead, in between your eyebrows and inside at the center of your head. We have already seen this. Netric Nadaviya Purvatiyadai Vadil Utrutu Parka Vadividum Mandiram, and I have given you many songs that express this idea of the location of the Anma. Well, and there are some more details about the form of Anma as given by Vadalar. Anma Sitranu Vadivinan. What is the size of Anma? Sitranu. It's like a subatomic particle. It is smaller than the nano particle. That is why we are not able to see the Anma with our telescopes, with our microscope or electron microscope. It is called, why is it called Anu? Sitranu Vadivinan. Why did it become so small? Because of Anavam. Now it is clothed by darkness by the Anava Mala, the stain of Anava, blemish of Anava. Etymologically, this word Anavam comes from 2 Tamil words, Anu and Avam. Anu means the smallest of the small particle. Avam means death. It enters into death and gets reborn, the soul, the Atman, and it is the smallest of the small. How did it happen? What is its real nature? It has got 2 natures. This is the Pentham state, that is in bondage, the stage in bondage. It has shrunk into the size of a very small atom because of this Anavam. What is Anavam? Anavam is our ego, pride, sense of individuality. I am separate from other people. I am separate from other things. I am separate from God. So I am all unique. We want to retain this egoistic consciousness forever, and it gives us immense pleasure. For a man or woman, what gives the utmost satisfaction? This sense of pride, ego. In Tamil, in ancient Tamil, this word was called Serku. Tiruvallur beautifully illustrates it in one of his couplets. Yan yenadu ennum Serku. That is the most tasteful thing for the human mind. Serku means sugar cane. Sugar cane is very delicious. And what is the most delicious sugar cane? This Serku Anava. So this makes us small, this makes us die. So this is the fettered state of Anma. There is yet another nature of liberation. A liberated Anma loses these 2 characteristics of death and smallness. At the liberated stage, what happens to the Anma? It gets Vyapakam. Its pervasiveness like the sky. It is called self-realization in the yoga literature. But in Sudarshan Marga, Vadalar calls it Vandeham, Pranava body. It loses its smallness, it loses its egoistic consciousness, and its consciousness is enlarged to a very large extent, though not to the extent of cosmic consciousness of God. Okay. And then here yoga is replaced by Vadalar in exact scientific terms. Okay. There is one more thing. There are three verities according to Saiva Siddhanta. What are the three verities? Eternal verities. Padi, Pasu, Pasam. Padi means God, Pasu means Anma, Pasam means matter, world, bondage. And God knows everything. Nobody has to teach him. He knows everything. He is self-born and all those things you know. Matter is ignorant. We can never teach matter anything. It is beyond the capacity for understanding. But what is the qualification of Anma? It can understand both God and matter, but somebody must teach it. Unartha unardalin, we saw that. Unartha unardalin. Unless somebody teaches your soul, your Atman, it cannot understand. It can understand God, the nature of God, it can understand the nature of matter. All science is about the nature of matter. And all theology, religion, philosophy, all belongs to the teaching of God. But there is a problem. See, it is called Satasat. In Saiva Siddhanta it is called Satasat. Sat plus Asat makes it Satasat. It has got 50% Sat. Sat means eternal existence God. Asat means matter, non-sentient, ignorant, inorganic being. But we have got a body, it is Asat. We have got a mind, it is also Asat. But we have got a Anma, it is Sat. So man is made up of both Sat and Asat. This Anma is Satasat. It is both Sat and Asat. If it takes to the direction of Sat or God, it enters into spirituality, then it has the capacity to possibilities of self-realization and God realization. When it falls down into worldliness, what happens? It is caught up in Maya and it descends into the nature of matter. And Swami Manikavasagar says that he was born as a stone. See, pullagi, pudagi, puduvagi, maramagi, palvirgamagi, paravayai, pambai, kallai. I was born as a grass. I was born as an animal, tree. All those things he mentions. Whatever happened during the course of evolution, he says, I was born in those all forms. But finally he says, Kallai, I was born once as a stone also. So this is Jadam. This is inorganic matter. So when man turns away from God, away from spirituality and enters into worldliness, that's what we are always doing. What happens is that there is a possibility that you could fall back into the state of a stone. So this free will, this choice is given to the Anma by God. Tarchudandiram, Vadalar says, Tarchudandiram, and he explains it further. He says, Jiva Sudandiram, Dega Sudandiram, Bhoga Sudandiram. God has given this Anma, three freedoms. Jiva Sudandiram, freedom of the life. You can terminate it by your suicide. You can develop it into the cosmic level of God. This Jiva Sudandiram is given to you. Dega Sudandiram, this body, you are blessed with a body. You can do anything about this body. You can make it decay into old age and death, or like Vadalar, you can develop it into pure body, Pranava body and divine body. See, you are given that choice. It is your choice to choose it, either this or that. And Bhoga Sudandram. Bhoga Sudandram means freedom for enjoyment. You can see God has given you Tanu, Karana, Bhuvana, Bhohangal. God has blessed you with 4 things. Tanu, this body. Karanam, this mind. Bhuvanangal, billions and billions of words are given there. And the 4th, capacity to understand. Even the plants and animals are given all these things, but they don't enjoy all these things. They don't, for instance, understand books or God or Anma. They don't discuss all these things. So, man is given all these freedom, 4 freedoms. This Bhoga Sundram, see, the saints and yogis, they renounce all these things. That is their choice. So, you are given that freedom, that free will to choose enjoyment or not. You may go after worldly pleasure. This is called Vishaya Sugam, Vishayanandam, bodily bliss, mental bliss, Karananandam. And Vallalar Swami narrates some 13 higher forms of bliss like Atmananda, Brahmananda, Sivananda, Satchidananda. Like that, he gives us a list of 13 higher states of bliss. See, when compared with Atmananda, all the blisses, so-called blisses felt by man like sex and possessing billions of dollars, this is nothing. But nobody will accept me say this unless one has entered into meditation and touched his Atma and then touched the center of divinity. One cannot understand all these things through books or from the words of a guru. This has to be personally experienced. Now, what is the purpose of human life? To go higher up in the scale of consciousness, understand the spirit and God, and experience these higher blisses. That is why the saints, they go to forest, they renounce all these worldly things because they are always in that bliss. Once you have tasted that bliss of Ananda, of Atma or Siva, you will not want to come down. Well, for us this is only a verbal knowledge. Okay. So, unless, Vallalar Swami adds one more, unless you surrender all these 3 things, Jiva Sudandram, Deha Sudandram, Bhoga Sudandram, at the feet of the Lord will not enter into your soul. Well, that is the ultimate form of Bhakti Yoga. We will talk about it later at the Siva Yoga level. Now, concerning this characteristic of Sata Sat, it is both matter and God. It is 50% Anma is God, 50% divinity, 50% inorganic insensibility of matter. Okay. Now, in the 7th sutra of Sivajnana Bodham, Swami Meghanda says, Iru Tiran Arivuladu, Irandala Anma. Irandala Anma, it is neither God nor matter, but you can make it into God with your practice of yoga and Jivakaranya. But now, at the present stage, as it is neither God nor matter. Iru Tiran Arivuladu. It has the capacity to understand both matter and God. This is the 7th sutra of Sivajnana Bodham. And there is another thing. What is the real nature? What is the potential present nature of Anma? It is shrouded by Anavamala. Anavamala has covered it fully. Now our Anma is like an eclipsed sun. What is its original nature? Anma Kodi Surya Pragasam. In its liberated condition of Mukti, your Anma will shine with the brilliance of 10 million suns. Kodi Surya Pragasam. Brilliance of 10 million suns. But why is it dark now? Because it is clouded by the Anava Mala. It is like an eclipsed sun, and the light is oozing into the body during the eclipse of the sun. You have light, but it is very, very small in amount. So it is only oozing out. It is not fully blowing out, it is only oozing out. That is what is happening now. Now our Anma is like an eclipsed sun. But what is its original nature? Its original nature in the state of liberation or mukti is Anma Kodi Surya Pragasa. Swami Vallalar tells us out of his experience to attain that state is the purpose of this human life as it was given by or as it was intended by God. Anma Kodi Surya Pragasa. And Sarndadan Vannamagum Anma. If it thinks of God, it becomes divine. If it thinks of matter and worldliness, immediately it identifies itself with matter and worldly things. The problem with Anma is that it doesn't have any unique sense of identification. Either it identifies with God when it thinks of God, or it identifies itself with matter when it thinks of matter. Sarndadan Vannamahum. It is always dependent upon something. It is not independent. That is its shortcoming, weakness. And long ago, a sage scientist Thiruvalluvar had put it in a couplet. Sarbu unarndu sarbu keda olgin sardara sartaru noi. Noi means disease. All of our, it means our sufferings. Why do we have sufferings? Because of our wrong identification. Now we identify ourselves with this body and mind. What are they? They are made up of 24 Prakriti Tattvas. We saw that earlier. We identify ourselves either with the body and mind which are constituted by 24 Prakriti Tattvas, Jadapur, matter. Or we identify in an advanced state with God. You have got both the liberties. And Thiruvalluvar says, be aware of this identification. Once you know the process of identification, sarbu unarndu, sarbu keda olgin, if you can detach yourself from these tattvas and the identification of Anma, you will realize that you are Shiva himself. That is your true identity. Now you are wrongly, mistakenly identifying yourself with these tattvas, and that is why you are always suffering. So what is the way to free ourselves of all of our sufferings? First, to detach ourselves from these tattvas and worldliness and the body and mind complex. And finally, and Sai Siddhanta is very particular about this, you must go beyond the identification of Anma also. You are not Anma, you are Shiva. Vallalar goes beyond that. We talk about it when we deal with Shiva Bhog. Okay. This is yet another characteristic. And there is another problem with Vedanta and Siddhanta. Anmakal Yennila Pala Kodi. Anma is not one, but infinite in number according to Sai Siddhanta, because it is as small as an electron. Billions and billions of souls are there in the creation. That is according to Sai Siddhanta. But Ekanmavada of Vedanta, Ekanma means there is only one Atma. It is claimed by Vedanta, like Lord Shankara. Shankara says there is one Brahman alone exists, and that is Atma. Atman is equated with Brahman in Vedanta. Well, there are some other Vedantins like Saint Ramanuja and Saint Madhva. They differ from this. But this Ekanmavada, it says Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya There is only one thing, that is Brahman, and that is Atma. When you realize you are Atman, you will know that you are Brahman. Aham Brahmasmi. All the four Mahavakyas mean this thing. Aham Brahmasmi. I am Brahman. I am Atma, Brahman. My Atman is Brahman. Tattvamasi. You are that. And Prajnanam, Brahma. Your pure consciousness is Brahman. These are the four Mahavakyas that give us the gist of all the four Vedas. And Vadalar Swami and Saiva Siddhanta both accept the Vedas and the four Mahavakyas. They differ only with the interpretations offered by the Vedantins. Well, here Saiva Siddhanta says there is not one Atman, there is one Sivan. Well, of course, Atman is a ray of the sun of Shiva, but Atman itself is not Brahman. It is a potential Brahman. You have to actualize it. Here Valalar gives us some clarifications. And here in Pedda Nilai, Pettam, Pendam, bondage, in a bonded stage, Anma has got some limitations. It is very small in size and its powers are very, very limited. Its knowledge is very limited. We saw all that. Here, a problem arises. It was raised by Buddha. Buddha says Anatta, his famous concept of Anatta means non-Atman. He says there is no Atma. His argument is very scientific and philosophically original. That's why even a great philosopher like Bertrand Russell says Buddha was not only a spiritual giant but an intellectual, philosophical giant like Shankara. Shankara also was a philosophical giant. And he says we have no need for an Atman. For instance, take the example of a car. He gives us some ancient example. I am giving you a modern example. What is a car? It is assembled with a lot of spare parts. When they are properly assembled and the fuel is added, it can run. Even self-driven cars we have now. So, it doesn't need an Atma. When it breaks down, what happens? When the parts of a car break down, the car collapses. It doesn't run. In the same way, when the parts of this body collapse, they break down, the body breaks down and you die. So there is no need for an Atma. This was the argument put forward by Buddha. But Vedas and the Upanishads particularly, they say Atman is the basic entity. And historically we should note one point about Buddha. Buddha belonged to a royal family, Kshatriya. He wanted to bring down the power of Vedantic tradition over people. So, he negated everything, every concept put forward by the Vedic tradition. When Vedas declare that there is a God, the existence of God is there. And he says no, there is no God. And when it says there are 4 castes, and he says there are no castes. And when the Vedas say there is an Atma, Buddha said no Atma. So he negated all the concepts of the Vedic tradition. So here he negates Atma also. And somebody questioned him, sir, you say there is no Atma. Then who is it that gets being reborn again and again in many births? You accept the concept of metempsychosis, that is reincarnation theory. He accepts it. There is no other way to explain the concept of evil. Why does a man suffer evil? Because he had done some misdeeds in his ancient births. There is no other way to explain the concept of evil, for the existence of evil. So one has to accept. So almost all the philosophies of India accept this concept of reincarnation, metempsychosis. So he accepted it. And somebody asked Buddha, sir, if you say there is no Atman, there is no entity as such inside, that goes on being born and dying. What is it? How is it possible? So this question was not properly answered in Buddhist literature. To give you some answer, let us not enter into those philosophical speculations. And Swami Vallalar explains this scientifically out of his experience, because he had experienced both the concept of Buddhists and the concept of Vedantins, and he had gone beyond that. And Swami Vallalar says there are two grades, two levels of Anma. He calls it Jivan and Podu. Says ஆன்மாவுக்கு இரு நிலைகள் உள்ளன, சாமானியம் பொது. சாமானிய ஆன்மா, சிறப்பு ஆன்மா. சிறப்பு ஆன்மா, unique means which belongs to every soul, every being, and it has its own karma. It has to suffer its own karma which he had from his four previous births. So that is the jiva. Okay. And Podu means it is the common Anma. It is called Chitrambalam. That is where God dwells. Okay. And he gives us the exact location of this Jivan and Anma. Jivan is situated in the throat along with the crowd of these 36 tattvas. That is why we always feel sleepy. We are not awakened, because either we live in the body or in the mind or in the psyche, or so called jiva, in the throat. What is the throat? It is the place of Visuddhi Chakra. When we sleep, our consciousness is centered here, the Visuddhi, the throat chakra. That is why we are always feel asleep. Who is a Buddha? He is called Buddha, means an awakened being. Awakening from what? Awakening from sleep. Even during our daytimes, we are supposed to be half asleep. An entire esoteric system was framed upon this point by Gurdjieff, the Russian mage. He called his philosophy war against sleep. Even during wakeful state, you are asleep. Awake from your wakeful sleep. How to do that? From the region of Jiva, you have to enter into the region of Anma proper, Podu, into Chitrambalam. From here, the center of consciousness must be taken up to this center of Ajna. This is where the Atman dwells, and inside the Atman dwells God. And Vallalar Swami explains these two things. That is why he has devised two separate yogas for these two centers of Anma. He has devised the yoga for Jiva. He calls it Jiva Volukkam. How to do that? Quite simple. Consider all human beings and treat them equally. Consider all the human beings without any discrimination whatsoever about their races, language, male or female, or gender, or animal or human difference. No difference whatsoever. Then what happens? You are already established in Jiva consciousness. You are liberated to some extent. And the second thing, what is the yoga of Anma Olukkam, discipline of Anma? When you consider all the sentient beings, starting from the ants to very big animals like elephants and whales, consider them all as equal beings. You consider them all as your own being. When you attain that state, what happens? You have entered into the domain of consciousness of Anma. This is called Anma Olukkam. When this is perfected 100%, you attain divinity. That is what Vallalar's three-part yoga of Jivakarunya. Okay. Now, here, historically, like Vallalar, Sri Aurobindo also started as a Vedanti. he wrote extensive commentaries on Gita for some 2000 pages, lectures on the Gita, and he has translated Upanishads and he has given commentaries on Upanishads. And finally, he also had to come under the spell of the science of evolution discovered by Darwin. When he was a young man, he was in London, he could see these turbulations caused by the evolutionary theory. He had to accept it. It is scientifically proved. So he wanted to incorporate this theory of evolution into Vedanta. Vedanta normally doesn't accept evolution. But he wanted to incorporate this theory of evolution into his Vedantic system. So, logically, what is the conclusion of evolution? Darwin had explained the past, what happened in the past during course of evolution. But what will be the future prospectus? What will be the end product of evolution? Superman and then divine man. So, Sri Aurobindo said, the aim of my integral yoga is to have a divine life in a divine body. This is the conclusion of Vadalar Siddha Sanmarka. Some 50 years before Sri Aurobindo, Swami Vadalar had already come to this conclusion. Unfortunately, he had written all these things in Tamil, so it was not translated and into English, and so it could not reach. But Sri Aurobindo beautifully wrote in English, in masterly English, and it has reached all over the world. And his disciple and collaborator, the mother, put the whole thing in simple terms. And she devised her own yoga of cells. Yoga of cells. Well, that is another story. The point is, even a Vedantin like Vadalar and Sri Aurobindo, they had to accept scientific theory of evolution, and they have changed Vedanta and made it Neo Vedanta. Even Swami Vivekananda had also done it, and Swami Narayana, Guru of Kerala, because one could not accept the fourfold division of caste and Varnashrama Dharma as accepted by Vedanta and Siddhanta. In modern times, equality is the first value. Okay. Now, we have seen the Anma Rupam, the form of Anma. To some extent, there are some more explanations. We will see them later. Here, we have seen the first part of Anma Vidya, Atma Vidya, self-realization. Where is Anma? Here, inside the center of your eyebrows, behind the center of eyebrows, in the form of smallest of the small atom, citronum, and it buries deep inside at the center of your head. That is why Swami says, எப்போதும் சிற்றபையின் கண்ணே கவனம் வைக்க. Please always keep your mind focused on Sichaba. Where is it? Above the uvula. Before that, concentrate on this forehead. Purva Madhyil, அதற்கு முன் Purva Madhyil கவனம் வைக்க. This one line is enough for one salvation. So, whenever you are free, make it a point to always concentrate on this Purva Madhya in between your eyebrows. Well, I think to some extent we have dealt with Anma Rupa. In our next class, we will talk about the next section called Anma Darshanam, or experience of Anma, that is self-realization. And in the session next to that, we will see about Anma Sutti. One has to detach even from Anma. We cannot identify ourselves with even Anma. We have to identify ourselves with Shiva, God only, Aham Brahmasmi, only with Brahman. That is the stage reached by, shown by Saiva Siddhanta, and Vadalar will talk about it later. Arupperum Jodi, Taniperum Karunai, Arupperum Jodi. May all sentient beings live in happiness. May the divine fate of all Allah be praised. Thank you.